Welcome to Night Shadows. I'm Stuart Best, where the paranormal is normal, where that which you thought you knew, you didn't, and where the future can be known if you know exactly where to look.
Well, good evening, everyone, and thanks for tuning in and listening. We have Larry on top of the mountain there. How are you doing up there?
Oh, hanging in, Stuart. Still having a lot of electromagnetic activity.
Yeah, on our conversation before the show, you were saying that you were kind of knocked off the web for quite a while today.
Yeah, internet, satellite internet was down. Matter of fact, I was having trouble with connectivity, and then I had a blackout. So it's been one of those days.
Yeah. Well, up there with all those portals, I guess that's what you can expect. Why don't we start with this Bible? There's several new ones out. Barry's got out that are kind of interesting. The one where Trump talks about treason, and Comey is in there, and Schiff is in there. Barack Obama is in there. Money, Iran, and Trump, all in there, and treason. What do you think of that? I mean, I think we've all known that treason's involved, but what bothers me more than anything is all these guys are still out walking around in spite of all the evidence.
Yeah, what's interesting about that Torah code was ran off of a comment that Trump made where he's called the Democrats involved with treason. And actually the White House then spun it the next day saying it was a joke. But what Barry Rothman did when he read his code, he ran a Torah code on that incident, and it came back with 9 names. And Barry Rothman said they might spin it as a joke, but it's actually reality.
Yeah, I guess there was a book written a long time ago. It's called None Dare Call It Treason. And it didn't get very far because the government bought up all the runs on the book, so people couldn't find it. I did get a hold of it. And, they've been involved in treason now for a long time. You cannot down the Constitution and bring in a new world order without committing treason, whether it's fast-tracked or very slow-tracked, which I believe it is. I call it slow treason, really. But this is very, very fascinating that the codes are kind of verifying what Trump actually said theoretically as a joke, when maybe he wasn't joking at all. But that's how you can cover your tracks, too. What do you think?
Well, that's true. And interestingly, on this same code called Trump Charges Democrats with Treason, there's a number 2 code embedded in it called the Torah Code Stupidity Virus. And let me give you the 7 terms in it. Number 1, alien virus. Number 2, hostile. Number 3, year 5707, which is actually 1947. Number 4,
yes.
President. Number 5, stupid. Number 6, threat. And number 7 is a phrase, they will not believe me.
Oh, well, that would go in with the Roswell deal. A lot of people just flat don't believe it. They believe what the government told them. People that believe what the government tells them, I guess, deserve what they're going to get. But that was confirmed later on by a number of people who were actually involved in that Roswell incident. So it's kind of interesting that 1947, an alien, or give me those words again.
Okay, number 1, alien virus. Number 2, hostile. Number 3, year 5707, which is 1947. Number 4,
Roswell.
President. Number 5, stupid. Number 6, a threat. And they will not believe me.
Wow. Yeah,
it sounds like maybe there is a virus downloaded into humanity about 1947 to where they're not smart anymore. Matter of fact, they just turned stupid And maybe, Stuart, that's why actually the book of Ecclesiastes was written, nothing new under the sun. Humanity seems to be continually trying to do the same thing over and over, expecting a different result.
Yeah, that is a form of, well, it's not only stupid, it's insane. But, yeah, well, in Genesis chapter 6 is a repeat. Jesus said that as it was in the days of Noah, so shall it be again. There was an arrival back then. The book of Enoch says that they were shapeshifters and fooled the human race. I guess they told them all we come from different planetary systems, and that's why we look different. And that has reintroduced itself since 47, and actually there have been some sightings and whatnot. There was one in Texas, and they claim there's an alien buried down there in this town, but nobody's been able to find it or dig it up. So you never know, whether it's real or not. But Roswell definitely was real. Stephen Greer has done a lot of work on a disclosure project, and so haven't others. Stephen Greer is not the only one that's been working on that, and I think you can prove conclusively that was an alien shoot-down, basically. And they did capture some what appear to be grays, I guess, small little grays. They're about 39 inches tall. And then you got the book The Day After Roswell, Corsi. I can't remember what his rank was, but he claimed that they were backwards engineering all of this sort of stuff. Lasers, fiber optics, computer chips, and the gelling them down into the smallest. I had a friend of mine out in California, and that's what he did. He made clean rooms where they could they were so super clean that you could miniaturize all these things, and now they're doing it even more and more and more. They think they can get it so miniaturized like a pencil point. We'll have what we call a motherboard on a computer today.
Wow.
Miniaturization. And a lot of this all did come from fallen angels. And the timing is about perfect because if you remember in 1947, there were several UFO crashes back then. And then, of course, you had the Fatima incident back in 1917, which is very, very interesting in regards to the nation of Israel and Allenby. And if people would follow the UFO flaps, they would see that Israel generally is in the center of these things. So this is kind of interesting. Anyway, and of course, Clinton and the rest of them tried to find out what was going on, and they were told to mind their own business, which is why Stephen Greer released a thing called, what did he call that? Unacknowledged.
Yeah.
Millions and millions. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to mention a lot of people think I'm strange, and probably the reason for that is I was born on Groundhog Day, February the 2nd, 1947.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so there's no telling what I was downloaded with.
Excuse me. Yeah, I know. Anybody that even thinks about UFOs, people roll their eyes, and I think it frightens them because we're not number one on the food chain, and that bothers people that we're not the end all and be all, and that there might be fallen angels that are much more powerful than we are that could return and upend humanity's reign on planet Earth, which is what I think Stan Deo's interpretation of the ancient languages. Remember all that work he did?
Oh, yeah.
And it kind of indicates that, mankind is upended, and they take over, and it's not going to be pleasant when they do. So we're going to end up with kind of a hybrid alien human government with the aliens basically in control. So, this other one you've got. The threat to our nation is vast, but the code names all the players. January 26, 2018, Jerusalem Post reported about a meeting between former Secretary of State John Kerry, and associate of PA President Mohammed Abbas. And Kerry is seen by the Israeli government as somewhat of a nut who has aspirations of being the Messiah. But they had some interesting words here: deep state, Vatican, and Kerry. What's that about? And speaking about that, what's this meeting with Turkey, Erdogan, and the Pope?
Well, what's interesting is not only, has there been a meeting with the Pope, with John Kerry, and Kerry actually went to Abbas in Palestine, and remember, he told them not to do anything that Trump said because Trump wasn't going to be around very long. And so that's really interesting. But then we've got this invasion of Syria, northern Syria, by Turkey right now ongoing and threatening U.S. troops even. And the Pope actually has a meeting scheduled with Erdogan. So the Pope is becoming really involved with this Jerusalem situation and the Middle East, and I guess the whole world to some degree. But, Pope Francis also, according to Tom Horn and some of his investigations and information, is on really shaky ground also.
Yeah. It says here, it was reported that Kerry said that within a year there was a good chance that Trump would not be in the White House. So the word immediately brought attention to the concept that Kerry is a central figure in the so-called deep state, and it served as an inspiration for taking a more detailed look at the Torah code, in which they have the Vatican. And then it says here, there is a pattern of Torah code matrices that places the Vatican at the heart of the deep state, and that it exposes their agents. So that's kind of an interesting code.
Yeah, and on top of that, Stuart, I've been watching some of the postings of Barry Rothman lately, and a lot of the intel agencies, even around the world, including the Vatican, is really following everything he posts. I mean, they are really on top of him.
Well, of course, as you know, the Bible does not lie at all, and I wish people would pay more attention to what it says, but they don't seem to want to. But here's another one. Uranium One informant says Moscow paid millions in bid to influence Clinton or Hillary. It's got Uranium One, bribe Clinton, Barack, Obama, and Comey, and also from the ground, which would indicate, of course, that's how uranium is mined. But that's kind of fascinating as well, that it would have bribe Clinton and Obama, because you don't generally hear anything about Obama in all of this, although Fox News is beginning to bring out something about how Hillary and Obama are probably deeply involved in all of it, which of course they have to be. It shouldn't be a secret.
Yeah, absolutely. And what's interesting, too, if you follow the Torah code pretty closely, even though mainstream media can't even speak the name Barack Obama hardly, and certainly won't, look into anything about Barack Obama, the Torah code has Obama's fingerprints everywhere.
Yeah. This is a switch in subject matter. Earth changes. Ring of fires, volcanic and quake activity is normal, say the scientists. What do you make of that? I make of that as a cover story because they don't want people getting upset over what's happening.
Yeah, it's all of that's so normal, Stuart. That's why we don't hardly have any earthquakes anymore. And when we do, they tone them down, and they're already toned down to some degree. It's the information about the earth changes, Stuart, are so controlled now. You can hardly believe anything they say.
Yeah, I remember Stan and Holly Dale were reporting how they changed everything, how they'd either tone it down or not even report an earthquake. Just not even bother reporting it. So, new technology for a cashless society is marching right in step with other moves towards the coming Antichrist world government. The reason I'm bringing that up is everybody's looking at Trump and how he's going to save the world and save us. And at the same time all of this is going on, they are really tightening the surveillance state, and it's interesting that this is actually going on all the time. What do you think? I mean, every time you turn around, there's a new one. Here's just a paragraph. Google engineer director Scott Hoffman says that within 5 years, people will have microphones attached to their ceilings and microchips embedded in their brains in order to perform quicker internet searches. The goal is to insert a chip inside your head for the most effortless search engines imaginable. Do you think people would do it?
Yeah, what we found, Stuart, is the fact that recently there's a big move on to move everybody into this Generation 5 internet or cyber scenario, which Generation 5, if people don't know it, that's the one involving AI, and that means artificial intelligence. And everyone is trying to move into that, and they say the UN wants to promote it for the whole world, and that the deep state is trying to implement it now for America. And a matter of fact, they are slowing down on purpose some of the iPhones, so you'll buy the new ones that'll take you into the Generation 5, and they're slowing down people's internet service, trying to get them to buy into Generation 5. So it is a big AI scam, but they're moving everyone in that direction.
Yeah, it says here PayPal wants to implant passwords in your stomach and in your brain. Jonathan LeBlanc, PayPal's global head of developer evangelism, claims that these devices could include brain implants, wafer-thin silicon chips that can be embedded into the skin, ingestible devices with batteries that would be powered by your stomach acid. The reason given that there are so many passwords to use PayPal that are so weak, people can be robbed by professional hackers. So the system, if you want to use PayPal, will need to comply with PayPal's new identity system, whatever the final technology that will be.
Wow.
We are really being programmed in. Here's another one, BBC. Why I want a microchip implant. And we are told that such implants will solve a whole host of societal problems. Identity theft, credit card fraud will be nearly eliminated. Many other forms of crime would be significantly reduced. Children would never go missing. And we wouldn't have to remember a vast array of passwords and PIN numbers like we do now. And we are told that if we just adapted such technology, our lives would go so much better. So there you go. We're marching rapidly into this mark of the beast system, and you brought up the 5 system. Trump, that's another article. Where is this one? Because it brought up exactly what you said.
Yeah.
I can't find it, no. Anyway, let's get over to North Korea. There seems to be more and more, how do I say, clues that we really are getting ready for war?
Yeah, I'm even hearing now that quietly they are evacuating Americans away from South Korea. It's being done quietly, and the move is happening. So there are reports that Ivanka Trump will close the Olympic Games, whatever day that is, and then we will possibly go on a war footing right after that. But then there's also something in the mix that there's some rumors or reports coming into Fox News that possibly North Korea has somehow with China made some kind of deal with South Korea, pulling the South away from the U.S. So there is something really big moving in this whole mix.
Well, I did read an article where it said that China had moved 300,000 troops to the border just recently. So that must be 300,000 more troops than what they've had there for a while. And Russia has deployed all kinds of military gear along the border. But here's a headline. I don't know how you vet something like this. Trump orders Pentagon to ready the farther of all bombs for use against North Korea. U.S. military is preparing to drop the father of all bombs, most powerful non-nuclear weapon in its arsenal, on North Korea. What do you think? Do you think that's possible?
Well, we've got some big ones. There are reports they've already got some tactical nukes in the region, and they're very concerned because Japan is still warning that this whole thing with the Olympics and the North and the South working together, and the South appears to be bowing to North Korea.
Yes. Yeah.
So Japan is continuing to say this is a trap, that this absolutely is a trap.
Well, we'll find out quick enough, I guess. There's a bunch of articles here on Kim and weapons that are getting ready. And here's another one that's kind of strange. I don't know if you saw this one or not. Massive black-clad missile filmed near Area 51 on a truck sparks nuclear attack fears. A monster missile apparently being transported towards the mysterious U.S. military base, Area 51, prompts fears of a possible nuclear strike. And they've got all kinds of pictures of it, and it really is. It's absolutely huge, whatever this is. So why is it appearing now, I wonder? Anyway.
Well, you know, we're approaching, Stuart, the time frame to where Trump has already announced to the American people, though they may not have heard it, but he said we're out of road. With North Korea, we've run out of road. And so we are in the window of you do something or you live under it.
Yeah. Now let's move over to Israel and the Middle East. What's the latest there? I know Syria is under, basically they're fighting everywhere in Syria.
Yeah, and at the same time, there are reports about Hamas and Hezbollah and having the second man under, Khamenei there in Iran, in Lebanon, and a possible missile attack being set up for Israel. And the latest reports was that Israel is almost at the point of an invasion of Syria and Lebanon, both. And then also going after Hamas in Gaza and, the Strip. So, this thing is about ready to blow one way or the other. It's, we're really in trouble there.
So it's very possible then, because North Korea and Iran are buddies, that they could launch something there, and also in North Korea. Here's a UN envoy says North Korea is only months away from striking the United States. So you're right. We're coming up on the point of we either live with it or we eliminate it, one or the other. What do you think we're going to do?
We know, Stuart, we know what the deep state feels, because remember Rice the other day, and she was right under Obama. She said we will just have to accept a nuclear North Korea and live under it. So that's the deep state. That's how they feel. So Trump is really way out there on a limb of his own with this. He don't want to live under it. So I guess we're going to see.
Yeah, we're going to find out. Getting back to surveillance, here's one for you before we close out. DHS seeking facial recognition tech to scan people's faces in moving cars. And I'd read another one about that where they plan to go nationwide scanning everybody on the highways. And here's the article that you were talking about. The Trump administration says it wants to nationalize the 5G network. President Donald Trump's national security team is considering how best to build a national 5G network. So there you go, just what you were saying.
Well, the thing about 5G is that you've got AI monitoring it and running it. That's artificial intelligence, and every stroke and everything you think will be recorded. And if they want to shut you down or do anything they want to, you're there for a reason.
Yep. And they're good at that. Silence anybody they want. So sooner or later we're coming up on this stuff, folks, and the timing is about right. We're pivoting into the 2018 scenario. And what's interesting is if you look up in the Bible, 3 days, just look up 3 days or third day, and apply that to the 9/23 date of 2015, and that moves it over into 2018. And on the third day, a number of things happen on the third day, particularly dealing in resurrection and possible rapture. Never know. The Lord can stick his hand up there and suspend us for another 20 years, I suppose, if he wants to. So what else you got, Larry, before we close? We got a couple minutes.
Well, I was going to tell people Showtime has a Homeland coming on season 7, starts Sunday night. And people may want to give an eye to that show because they're supposed to release information involving a scenario with the headlines of Trump. And this is a removal of a president, an unpopular president, and a deep state and intel agencies. So that may be some more clues. And, of course, you've got Geostorm, and you're going to give an assessment of that down the road.
Yeah, that's got a lot of embedded stuff in it. It's amazing what they do put in these movies. So, people really don't have any excuse. It's just that we don't follow. It's kind of like how the ancients knew all about the stars and the heavens and the constellations and what they all meant. And today, nobody really basically has a clue as to what all of that means. And of course, the Bible says the Lord put all those things out there as a sign and as a warning. So here we are, and we're tooling along like everything is normal, when I got a feeling it's anything but normal. Any quick news on the Trump war? I know they're trying to get rid of him.
Yeah, that's in high gear right now, and at the same time, and it is a coup, counter coup, that we're involved in. And Trump's rolling along too. Matter of fact, he denied the publication of the Democratic memo tonight, and they'll be raging over the weekend about that. Yeah. And so this is a war. I mean, this is an absolute war, but more and more is being revealed about the Democrats and some Republicans and the deep state and their connections with Russia.
Yeah. Well, next week, if the Lord willing, we'll pick up on a lot of this stuff. Thanks a lot for listening, folks, and we'll see you next week, the Lord willing. Good night.